It's the finale to the homestand, man. We talked about how this homestand was so important to A&M's chances. This was your opportunity to become who you're going to be. You've had 3 games coming off that bye week, coming off of that big Notre Dame win, and that in itself was obviously a massive step and hurdle. But I feel that we've learned a lot about our team through this homestand, and now we have the third and final game of this stretch to stamp it all in, and we've stamped a lot in. We've learned a lot about the team. We've learned that we can win in multiple ways. Shootout versus Notre Dame. A defensive game of gridlock, kind of, versus Auburn. An ugly offensive game. You won it with defense. And a drag-out, slobber knocker, wear the opponent out kind of a victory where you pull away late versus Mississippi State. A couple of talented teams that you thoroughly dominated defensively. You've learned that your new players, your portal studs, are not just a flash in the pan. These guys are here to stay. Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver. These guys are a big part of a very, very fun Texas A&M season so far that will be a consistent force on this team. It wasn't just an early season flash. It wasn't just something that comes around for a little bit then fades. These are studs that we can rely on. That's been stamped in. We have sustainable stars. But the most significant aspect of this homestand so far is the defensive emergence. The defensive line has absolutely dominated 2 games in a row. So much so that you are, what's the number? 1 of 25 on 3rd and 4th down conversion attempts from your opponents. That's defensive line dominance. That's your really good DB group that's playing really well. And that's Kyle freaking Field. And it's going to be electric again for Florida. And Florida brings the most talent of this 3-game homestand that we will have seen. They are also coming off of the hottest game between State, Auburn, and Florida, having turned their season around maybe in that game versus Texas, where they found some life, where they played like they were supposed to play all season. So you have a team that's talented, a team that's feeling good about themselves, a team that sees you as an opportunity. And what I said in the last video is that the door is cracked. And I would like to challenge the defensive line, this defensive front, the defense as a whole, to fully prove it. Coming out of this homestand, dominating the game, and leading the Aggies to a 3rd straight home win before you spend a month away from Kyle Field. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's an exciting time in Aggieland. 5-0, big opponent coming into town, a hot team, a team that, was supposed to do a lot this year, and you got to kind of cool a fire. And it's a really, really big chance for A&M to establish what they have shown so far through this stretch. I know like I said, we've proven a lot already, and I got some pushback for saying this is a prove-it game. We've only had 2 games of this level of defensive dominance, and this is the most talent they're going to be going up against on that offensive line. DJ Lagway, a quarterback that can get the ball out quickly. I think Blake Shapen had a pretty good arm and could do some cool stuff, but I think Lagway brings that to another level if he can play the way he played last game. So a true challenge. And if the defense can dominate the way they have the last 2 home games against a hot Florida team, we'll feel pretty damn good about their chances down the stretch. The offense has some stuff to work on, but we've seen the upside there. This defense comes to show that they're truly this. You win a lot of games this year. Guys, thanks for being here. Like and sub. Let's look at the injury report that just came out today. The Thursday report says Keati Armstrong, new addition to the injury report, out. Scooby Williams is probable, and in that radio show last night, Elko said he thinks we'll have Scooby back. Jared Kerr, questionable. It's a big deal on special teams. He's on every special teams unit pretty much, but hopefully he's all right. He's been a great, kind of just representation of the culture, I think, has Jared Kerr been. But think about the depth you have now. Think about what Sanford's done. Think about what Dalton Brooks has done in that box safety role. Think about Marcus Ratcliffe moving out and playing some free safety, maybe not his natural position, but doing it really, really well. Think about how much more you can rotate now. Think about how much more, knock on wood, injury security you have now with both Bryce Anderson and Scooby Williams back. And you have the luxury of easing these guys in because it's not like you urgently need aid in these departments because you've been really, really good everywhere defensively. So these guys have the luxury of being depth for now. These guys have the luxury of being eased back in. And of course, this team will have the luxury of being too deep at a couple of positions. It's really, really critical to have some good relief in. So it's huge for this team. We're seeing, I think early in the year, We talked about maybe not rotating as much defensively, maybe not having the quality depth that we had hoped for, but now we're seeing that completely change. I think at corner, you're just okay with playing your two guys because they're so freaking good. But now you have a third at safety, a true three-man rotation at safety. Scooby's in. You're willing to play Lockhart. It's looking really positive out there. And, of course, I'll bring it back up real quick. I mean, Florida was in a similar situation last week, missing a bunch of guys, but they're missing probably their two backup running backs. They're probably going to be Jaden Baugh and then their fourth string running back in rotation, which I think they're okay with if the offensive line plays well, but that's still a hit. I believe LJ McCray and Caleb Banks are starters for this team that have been out. It's been a banged up team. And again, they played well last week in this condition, but A&M has the luxury of being the much more healthy team, so that is good. Credit to Tommy Moffitt. It's been a really good luxury to have this year. I'm going to give you my wish list for the game. And I've kind of talked about it throughout the entire show. But first and foremost, can this defensive front dominate a Gator offensive line that feels like they've found themselves on the season? And it's not like they've been terrible throughout the season. They haven't been great. They haven't been what they hoped they would be. But they were exactly what they hoped they would be against a very talented Texas defense. And that Texas defense, we're going to clown them. We're going to laugh at them. Feel like we're better than them. That is still a very talented and very well equipped group that Florida was able to establish an early running game against, able to get some explosive passes off against, able to control a game against. If A&M can go out and dominate a Florida offensive line that has played to that level recently, how are we going to feel about this defensive line throughout the season? It's a prove-it game for the D-line. And I said at the top of the show, we've proved a lot, but this is where you stamp it in. That's my number one defensive wish list. Cause a ruckus. Be dominant. Be disruptive. Live in the backfield. Stop the run. Be very, very disciplined in your gap-contained linebackers and safeties. But really, I'm looking at this D-line to do it again. Because we have a chance from being a big question mark at D-line going into the year. How are we going to replace? How are we going to replace Scorton, Stewart, and Turner to being one of the better in the conference, if not the country, in these last couple of games and hopefully a third game in a row? My number one defensive wish. I have a certain level of faith against for our DBs, against a very talented young duo of receivers and some veterans that are healthy for Florida. Really like Des Ricks, really like what Will Lee's doing, really like what our safeties have been doing lately. Now you get some depth with Bryce Anderson. You get Scooby back. It's all about this defensive front, man. Can you just dominate a game again, and can you control a game again? Offensively, can we establish a run against an extremely athletic defensive front and entire defense that can cover a lot of ground and close really quickly? They have, even injured, they have a bunch of dogs in that front seven. It's going to be a big challenge for our offensive line. But as I said in my score prediction, I think we're up for the challenge. I see A&M's O-line controlling this game as it goes on. Maybe not perfect early. Maybe Florida has some moments early. But I think as this game goes on, the veteran nature of this offensive line, the depth of this offensive line, the ability to go with whatever group of five is working well for you in a game, the ability to go 3 to 4 deep at running back, I believe this O-line cooks again against maybe the best defensive front we've seen to this point this season. Probably the best defense we've seen all year, even better than Notre Dame's for sure. I think they can do it, but I really want to see it. I want to be proven right in this facet. Establish a run against a really talented front. And then third downs. If and when we get into passing situations, we have to be a lot better. I know we're looking at this offense. We're looking at slow starts. We're looking at penalties that are holding us back, and that has to get better, and I think that will get better. But on third downs, it feels like teams have a remedy against us right now, especially if they get us backed up 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 or longer. It feels like if they show blitz, they walk up 6, 7 guys to the line of scrimmage, that gets in Marcel Reed's head a little bit. And it seems like this offense hasn't really built out their quick game to combat that just yet. Now, I have a feeling this game against this level of opposition on defense will be the game that Colin Klein actually makes that adjustment and we start seeing that some of those check down options, some of those crossing route short stuff, tight ends, running backs out of the backfield on third down passing downs. But Marcel Reed has to be willing to hit it. We saw early in the game versus Mississippi State. Marcel didn't hit those, didn't see those a couple times early in the game. But as the game went on, he hit it a couple times. He extended plays, hit receivers running with him, mirroring him, and it got better. Let's see more of that. Florida against Texas was actually spying a lot on third down, not blitzing so much, but spying Arch Manning. You wonder if they'll go back to that or if they'll go to the tape and see that that blitz package has been working against Marcel and go to that look. I'd actually feel better if they spied. because I feel like we have the receivers that get open. I feel like Marcel is really good with a clean pocket, and I feel like that spy is going to allow some underneath stuff to open up for Marcel. And plus, A&M's going to go in max protect against that blitz look. You'll have more receivers out there, and Marcel's been doing better with that. So it'll be interesting to see how Florida plays third passing downs in this game. But if and when they bring that blitz look, I hope we're ready for it. That's one of my wishes. Be great on third down, even on third and long, when this team is capable. And then this is the greedy one. I saw somebody just wish this. It was Aaron. Marcel to hit at least one deep pass. And of course I want that. Of course that's part of this offense's upside. But I think this offense has enough to allow that deep ball to continue to be a work in progress. Yes, you have to hit it. Yes, that's part of this offense and this team hitting its ultimate goals on the season. But I think right now, you have enough talent out there to where a running game, a short game, a really good intermediate game can be enough. And we let that deep ball kind of develop over the weeks. You hit one, maybe the floodgates open. But I'm still putting it on the greedy part of the wish list. I still want to see it. I don't think it's 100% necessary right now, but it is necessary for A&M to achieve at the highest level this year. And these are my last two wish list items. They were on the wish list last week. I was going to put these in the overarching category, but I'm keeping these on the offensive side because this has been all offense. Defense has not really been a culprit in these two areas. First of all, start fast and maintain that level of play you achieve if you start fast. Because you didn't start fast versus UTSA, you had penalties. You didn't start fast versus Utah State, you had a penalty on that opening kickoff return that was really positive. You didn't start fast versus Notre Dame, you had penalties. You started fast versus Auburn, but then you stalled in a major way right after one drive. And then you didn't start fast with Mississippi State. You really didn't get it going until the third quarter. Start fast, avoid the early penalties, avoid the early drops, avoid the early mistakes. Hit this game flow, and you've been home for 3 weeks. You should be in a flow state by now. You should be ready to go by now, and you're ending last game on a high note. That's my wish for this offense. Start fast, and I have to say it, that's still up until we have another game under 10 penalties. I will leave that in the backdrop of every show until A&M has another game under 10 penalties. It could be this game. Hopefully it's this game. Hopefully I take this down during the watch party on Saturday. But if we go 10 plus, that's staying up. And Elko will continue to not be naming offensive lineman of the week because the offensive line has been the main culprit there. So I am leaving the penalties in the offensive category. Let's be a lot better there. Guys, those are my wish lists for the game. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys like. Make sure you guys subscribe. We'll be live for the watch party on Saturday. I wasn't going to, but if y'all want to participate in this, Noble and I are going to look at some other games across the country. We got some big ones this weekend, including Red River Shootout. We got Missouri, a future opponent, going up against Bama, one of the hottest teams in the country. So let's take a look at some games across the country. I'm just going to scroll through them. Bama, Missouri is so interesting. This is the one where Missouri can prove themselves. They have the big game against Kansas. It's a big win. They gave up some points in that game. And then they have the big data point of the South Carolina game, which I am currently questioning the value of because I just don't think South Carolina is a complete team this year. But this is their chance. I think their offensive line to prove it against a pretty good Bama front. I don't know if it's elite. I don't know how high level it is. It's good. Can Missouri continue and to establish that run game that they've had that's been so good for them? And Ahmad Hardy, who's just been, he can get into the Heisman conversation, if not into like the top 3, if he has a good game against Bama right now. It's at Missouri. It's a morning game. But Bama's one of the hottest teams in the country. Where are you going with it? Bama's a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, so I'll start off with saying, I think this will probably tell you where I'm going with the game. I think Missouri is kind of like the Penn State of the SEC, and Eli Drinkowitz is kind of like James Franklin in the sense, everyone heaps praise on Drinkowitz because he's a good coach, but they put him in the category of great coaches because he wins about 10 games a season in the SEC, which is very impressive. Over the last couple of seasons. But if you look at their schedule for the last couple of seasons, they have one of the easiest roads in the SEC possible, which makes it way more possible for them to achieve 10 wins. And whenever they go up against when they go up against a superior opponent, they usually don't rise to the occasion. Like, their best wins are not that impressive this year as far. That being said, I think the spot Alabama in is super tough, having 2 tough games against Vanderbilt and Georgia. But I think Ty Simpson's dialed in. We don't know how good the Missouri defense is. They haven't had to play anybody. And I think the Vanderbilt game was good precursor for them to go up against Ahmed Hardy this week, and it's 11 o'clock. I'm gonna blatantly disrespect the Missouri home field advantage, and I'm taking give me Alabama to because the line's close, like 1.5, 2.5.
It's 2.5 Bama. Yeah, I think Bama I honestly think this is going to be a super competitive game. I'm with you. It's not going to be a hostile environment in the morning. Plus, that stadium is not what it's going to be next year, and it's not what it was last year. It's currently under construction, so it's smaller right now. Won't be as loud.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's not going to be at full steam, but it'll still be electric. This is one of the biggest games in Missouri's history. This is up there with the A&M game last year where they didn't show up. Because if they win this game, to your point about their schedule being easy, they're on a path to make the playoff. If they can beat Bama at home right now,
I have to reconsider everything.
They're almost like, I don't want to say they're a lock, but they could lose to A&M and one more game and probably still make it. Because, SEC 10 and you're in, they'll have this game in their resume. That's all they need. So this is like the game for the drink program. This is everything for them. And yeah, it's the prove it game for their defense. I mean, I don't think it's elite, but if they can do enough to win this game, this is the moment. But my best bet in this game is the over. It's 51.5. I feel like that's getting smashed this game. So, y'all, I'm not giving you betting advice. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm telling you I am hammering the over 51.5 this one. Do you agree with that?
No, I like that. I mean, like, Alabama scored 30 against Vanderbilt, who plays a time of possession kind of game. And Missouri moves a lot faster than that. And Alabama even slowed their own pace down against Vanderbilt. So that feels pretty nice. And obviously, Missouri's got a better offense than Vandy. So, yeah, the over feels at 57.5.
No, 50. It's 51.5. All right, let's scroll down and look at some of the other big games of the weekend, Mr. Noble. Indiana, Oregon is so interesting.
That is interesting.
Oregon is starting to separate themselves. I mean, honestly, you can ask the question, how good is Penn State? Are they a broken team? But Oregon has looked so freaking good. Dante Moore's a beast. This guy's going to be drafted really high. I mean, I really like what we're seeing from Oregon. It feels like they're a year ahead because if you look at their team, they're an extremely young team.
Yes.
I think a lot of people have like the future of Oregon being really high, but the future's now apparently. In Indiana, they've taken a step forward from their breakout year last year. Mendoza is awesome. Their receivers are awesome. They have weapons everywhere. They're a talented team. They're an older team. They're a mature team, but it's at Oregon. And Oregon is a 6.5 point favorite. And I think by default, I would take Oregon in the game, but I wouldn't bet it. Yeah. I'm not surprised at all if Indiana covers or wins this game. How are you feeling?
I'm brand biased.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Nike.
I need to see it from Indiana to really yes, they blew the doors off Illinois. Kind of shocking, but I think it's like one of those things where when the wheels fall off, like we scored like 31 example against Mississippi State, but we were running against air essentially in the back half of the fourth quarter. I think the same thing happened to Illinois and Indiana. So you could look at it like, say, Oregon's like resume is not nearly as good now with Penn State falling apart, but I still think it's super impressive. They went 3 time zones over at night into Penn State. Yeah, they still got all the talent in the world, and they, for the most part, dominated until the last 2 minutes, and then went to OT. The only reason why it looked close.
Yeah.
So I like Dan Lanning a lot in this spot. I think Dan Lanning against teams that are ranked but are ranked lower than him, his winning percentage is insanely high. So
really
I'd give me Oregon to win and cover. Yeah, Dan Lanning just gets you fired up just listening to him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's high on life. They're saying he was doing some Adderall or something in that game at the end, but no, that dude's just juiced up for his team.
He was on that whiteout, you know.
He was on that whiteout. The whiteout was representing more than one thing that was white. But anyway, yeah, if Indiana wins this game, though, they're in my top 3, and they're in a driver's seat to be a contender this year. If they can go on the road and win in Austin.
3 time zones.
3 time zones across. They have just blew out another top 20 team. They go and beat a top 3 team. The door is wide open for Indiana.
Is that at night? I think it is.
No, it's 2:30. We'll be watching on the watch party. In the afternoon, I'm going live around 1.
Austin's a tough place to play.
Very tough. The House of Loud, they used to call it. But yeah, that's a stupid name. I'm going live at 1. We're going to catch the tail end of Bama, Missouri. We're going to watch the second half here on the channel. But then 2:30, we're going to go split screen Indiana, Oregon, and then the Red River shootout with of now probable John Mateer. I don't know if it's still mind games. I don't know if that hand has fully fused and fully healed. Apparently, this is a pain tolerance and a grip on the ball situation. Saying that the grip on the ball is what's going to determine whether he plays or not scares the crap out of me. But he played half the game against Auburn with a broken hand. And he did all right. It wasn't like a dominant game, but he was able to distribute the ball. So if Mateer plays, and Mateer is even close to 100%, if he can even run this offense and get Satenya and these receivers the ball in their hands, run around, I'm sure he can still run around with a thumb. I'm going to take OU in this game. But if Mateer isn't himself, or if for some reason it's the other guy, Hawkins, I'm taking Texas. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as it is for me. If we get the real Mateer, I am taking OU in this game because their defense is going to stifle Texas more than Florida just did, I think. I'm pretty sure this offensive line of Texas is going to struggle against OU's front. But I think there will be enough for Texas still has a really good defense. I know they just struggled against Florida. That defense is still really good. If it's the backup quarterback, the Texas defense will do enough to win it. I know it's a cop-out, but that's where I'm going with it. How are you feeling?
Right now, the score I'm feeling is like 16-13.
Yeah.
Super low scoring. I'm actually leaving Dallas right now. It's getting flooded with Longhorns and Sooners. I hate Dallas this weekend because I hate both the schools, and I just hide. It's like Shutter Island. I just hide away. That's the inmates are in the town right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, as an Aggie, it's terrible. But anyway, I actually kind of leaning Texas on this one.
Okay.
I think I still think the Texas defense is very good. They just put out like a C- performance against Florida.
And honestly, they kind of locked up in the second half. I didn't really harp on this all week for Florida because I don't really want to dwell on it too much. But Texas kind of clamped down later in the game, and really the only thing Florida did that was really impressive in the second half was the explosive touchdown to Dallas Wilson. And to be fair, that's a huge element for your team. That is part of your story. That is part of what makes you go. But outside of that, Texas was really starting to lock down as this game went on, and we saw Texas have a chance to get back in this game late, and they did. This Texas defense is real. It is. It's still really good. I know we're saying it's probably overrated. It's probably not as good as we thought, but it's still an upper echelon defense. There's no question about it. So that is the path to winning for them 100%. So you're going to go Texas. Okay.
I think Florida can run the ball a lot better than Oklahoma can. And
yes, that's a good point.
We got like an A+ performance out of the Florida offense that day. So it just kind of like caught like Florida got shell shocked. I mean, Texas got shell shocked. I think they need this win desperately. That being said, this game could come down to a pick six, and the thing is, like, I don't think Hawkins is that good. And I think Arch Manning, we've seen him throw picks before. I think like Mateer not playing or practicing for 3 weeks almost has to do something. So
it's a big deal.
That's, I think, like the needed factor for Texas is kind of the only thing that separates these two, because I hope it looks like an ugly game. I always hope this game looks ugly so like people just stop watching Red River. Like, oh yeah, it's such a terrible rivalry.
You're a generational hater, Noble. I respect it. And it's also like, let's be fair, it's a freaking rivalry, so anything can happen in this game. You throw out a lot when you look at a rivalry, so I'm not surprised at all if Texas wins it. I think that's very possible, but I'm going to lean OU just because of that defense and because of Texas's struggles on the offensive line. I think Texas edges it out in a defensive game. We'll go quickly on these last few. Arkansas, Tennessee. It's at Tennessee. It is a revenge game from Arkansas. This is the first game under Bobby Petrino. Just revamped the entire defensive staff. The defense for Arkansas has held them back all year. The over-under is 67.5 this game. We're expecting some points, but Tennessee is an 11.5-point favorite. I personally expect Tennessee to cover. I don't know if they're upper echelon, but I do think they're a really good team.
Yeah, I don't think the Tennessee defense is very well. Hold on, they got a pick against. Didn't they scored? I think they defensively scored against Mississippi State
twice.
But I'd have to rewatch that game. But
no, they're good on defense. They're good. I mean, maybe not as good as they hope to be, but they're still solid. They gave up a bunch of points to Georgia. Obviously, they gave up points to Mississippi State. I think they're at a place where they can still get some more out of this defense. I like their secondary. I really like some of their talent up front. So, I mean, I think they have the better defense in this matchup.
I'll take Tennessee just because, personnel.
I think I took Tennessee to cover, too, and I think I bet it.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say just because, like, you gave Arkansas a bye week and a new head coach, so who knows what they did. I think, kind of like what UCLA was able to ambush Penn State. Not to say that's going to happen, especially on the road in Neyland, and then Tennessee wants to win this game as revenge factor. But
Yeah.
I just got a weird feeling about it. But I think Tennessee ultimately wins and wins by at least 10.
Yeah, I'm with you too there. And plus, this is a really good game for us to watch because we're playing Arkansas next week. I will be in Vietnam next week. I'm looking forward to it a lot.